Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into the Hunt County housing market today,
That's right. We've got the first quarter numbers for 2025.
and we're comparing them to the same time last year, Q1 2024,
Exactly. Just a quick look at the key trends, what you need to know if you're buying, selling.
or even just keeping an eye on things locally.
Precisely.
All right, so first up, overall sales. What's the big picture?
Well, the headline is definitely a slowdown. Total residential sales dropped.
Dropped by how much?
Quite significantly, actually. Down 22.2%.
Wow.
Yeah, it went from 463 sales in Q1 last year down to 360 this year.
Okay, 360. So for buyers, does that mean maybe less competition out there?
It certainly could suggest that, yeah. Fewer bidding wars, maybe a bit more breathing room.
And for sellers, a slower pace.
That seems likely. They might need to, adjust expectations on how quickly things move.
Makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay, let's talk money. What about prices? Did they drop too?
We saw a decrease, but maybe not as dramatic as the sales volume. The average price is down 4.2%.
4.2%. What's that in actual dollars?
It went from about $343,600 down to roughly $329,300.
Okay. And the median price. Sometimes that tells a slightly different story.
It really does. The median price was remarkably stable. It only dipped about 1%.
Only go 1%.
Yeah, just from $294,500 down to around $291,700.
Huh. So the average is pulled down a bit, but that middle market price is holding pretty firm.
Exactly. It suggests the core market is, well, quite resilient, maybe less shift in affordability for the typical buyer.
But maybe a little more room to negotiate given the average dip.
Potentially, yes,
Right.
especially if a property's been sitting a bit.
Which brings us to the next point. Time on market. How long are homes taking to sell now?
That's definitely shifted. We're seeing homes sit longer. Average days on market increased
Increased by how much?
by 16.9%. So it went from 71 days on average
Okay.
up to 83 days.
83 days. So nearly 2 extra weeks on average.
That's right.
Why do you think that is? Are buyers just pickier or is it inventory?
It's probably a mix. Buyers seem less rushed, maybe weighing options more carefully. Could be economic uncertainty, could just be more choice.
Right, less pressure to decide instantly.
Yeah. And for sellers, it means pricing right and presentation are maybe even more critical now.
Good point. Now, what about new homes? New construction is a big part of Hunt County.
It is, and we saw a really significant drop there. New home sales were down 32.7%.
Whoa, nearly a third fewer new homes sold.
Exactly, down from 202 sales in Q1 24 to 136 in Q1 25.
But did their prices fall accordingly?
That's the interesting part. Not really. The average price for new builds actually nudged up slightly to $344,000.
Up, even for fewer sales.
Slightly, yeah. The median price did dip a tiny bit, down to just under $300,000, but basically stable.
So builders aren't really cutting prices despite selling fewer homes?
It doesn't seem like it, based on this data. But look at their days on market.
How long are they taking to sell?
That figure jumped dramatically, up 41.7%.
41%.
Yeah, from 72 days last year to 102 days this year, on average, for a new home.
Over 3 months. Okay, so builders might be holding prices, but buyers are definitely taking their sweet time deciding on new construction.
That seems to be the story there. Caution is the word.
So let's wrap this all together. What's the key takeaway from this Q1 data for Hunt County?
I think the main picture is a market that's clearly cooling off in terms of activity. Sales are down, things are taking longer.
But prices aren't crashing.
Exactly. Prices are showing more stability, particularly that median price point. It feels like buyers have gained some leverage. They're less frantic, more deliberate.
So a shift, definitely. Slower pace, but generally steady values for now.
That's the snapshot from the first quarter, yes.
And it's important to remember, this is just Q1. Things can change.
Absolutely. We'll need to watch how things like interest rates play out, how inventory levels evolve through spring and summer. It's a developing story.
So the final thought for everyone listening. If you're involved in Hunt County real estate, how does this shift, this cooler pace but steady pricing, affect your specific plans? Something to think about.
Definitely worth considering.
Thanks for joining us for this quick deep dive.